With the Young Bucks addressing their AEW suspension and more, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. Speaking on Vicky Guerrero's podcast, Renee Paquette revealed that she'd been in contact with WWE prior to her initial appearance in AEW. I had been talking to WWE that had gotten leaked out before I debuted with AEW. I had been having conversations with WWE about all the things they have going on over there. The more I was thinking about it and figuring out what that looks like and what the future looks like, I was like, no, I want to be in AEW. I want to be a part of this company that is growing and developing. I want to help. I want to help lend whatever knowledge I have in this space to make things good. I want to do a good job. I want to be on the road with my husband. That makes life easier. It was more so that, and it was more conversations John and I were having. That was one of those first big moments. We have to make a decision as a family. Not that I can't do what I want if that's what I decided to do. It would have been fine, but you have family conversations about what makes the most sense for everyone. Recalling her AEW debut, she said, "There was that sparkle in my eye. I love the way, even my time now having spent in AEW and being able to work there, I love being able to collaborate with people. I love doing the backstage segments and talking to Sanjay, talking to different talent, talking to Don Callis. It's fun. It's fun trying to figure out what those things are rather than just being handed a piece of paper and go and do that. That's fine too. I enjoyed that for many years, but it's fun being able to do it this way." Touching on Jeff Jarrett's match with Jay Lethal against Sting and Darby Allin at Full Gear, Ric Flair noted how he should receive a cut of Double J's money given their involvement in his retirement bout over the summer. He got the rub, him and Jay both. They'll have them for another main event in a pay-per-view on AEW. What do you think? I feel like I should be getting 10% of their money. Discussing a statistic from ProFightDB about the premium live event record of AJ Styles, former WWE writer Vince Russo said on his podcast, somebody put up a graphic today. It was like AJ hadn't won a pay-per-view match in 3 years or something. They're obviously going with Judgment Day. But, however, if AJ has not won a singles match that long on a pay-per-view, this is the chance to give him a win because he's beating Finn in a singles match, so Judgment Day really isn't getting beat. So, if it were me, because I did not realize he's gone that long, you gotta give AJ a win at some point. When James Dundee managed the Nation of Domination at WrestleMania 13, he was only paid a small sum for his involvement, as Dutch Mantel explained on his YouTube channel. And you know what JC Ice got paid on that pay-per-view because Vince got mad at him for being an idiot? $100. That's what he actually got paid. Even managers back in those days, you'd get at least $5,000, $6,000, or $7,000 just to walk to the ring. Maybe not that much, but he got mad at him and he gave him $100. And what's Jamie going to do? Bitching and complaining? He is looking for a spot to get rid of him anyway. He showed up 30 minutes before the show started and still owed the guy like a $700 cab bill. And he told the cab guy, "Wait, I'll get you more money." And the taxi cab driver never saw Jamie again. I think they got the guy paid somehow because the guy raised so much hell. He wanted his money, and they knew Jamie was there at that time. Speaking about CM Punk's involvement in the All-Out Brawl, Jon Morrison revealed this about Punk. He's always at a temper when things don't go his way. In his defense, what he wants is to make it. You know, I don't know exactly the extent of his injuries, but I think he tore his upper tricep or something on the dive, which is very frustrating. So he's frustrated because he's got this big opportunity to carry the company, and he's got this huge paycheck, and he tears his tricep and his foot. He's one of the people that changed the course of the industry, and it's never cool to see anybody like that get hurt. What I think is funny is how he dealt with it, because in some ways he just lashed out at the entire AEW roster. Whether they deserved it or not, I don't know. From his point of view, they did. I've wrestled the guy, not recently, but probably close to 100 times. At the beginning, we were butting heads quite a bit. It took like 20 matches, and then after that, I thought our chemistry was on point, and he became one of my favorite opponents. calling a near fight on a plane with Paul Heyman, former WWE writer Brian Gewirtz revealed in his book. One time in the corporate jet, Paul Heyman got so amped up over what I don't remember that he got up and challenged me to a fist fight mid-flight. To be fair, I'm sure I'd said something that made him want to punch me in the face. Whatever it was caused Paul to stand up, look me in the eye, and declare, "I'll give you 3 free shots to the face if I could have just one." Before I could respond to that offer, Shane McMahon jumped up from his seat. It was not to point out having a fist fight on a small plane was a bad idea. Instead, he took me into the plane's bathroom to show me how to properly throw a punch. I ultimately turned down the opportunity to have a good old-fashioned plane fight, disappointing most on board, including Vince, who seemed way more interested in this potential match than the Tajiri versus Albert match from hours earlier. With Steve Austin releasing a video prior to his workout and detailing that he is not doing this for a WrestleMania comeback, The Rock would react to this, commenting, "Man, for everyone watching this, let me just say that how Steve is talking here is exactly how he talks in person and why we became brothers. Straight up, direct, no BS. Good or bad, you'll always get the real. Keep kicking ass, my brother, and you know I gotta say it, thank you for the house." When it comes to her plans to wrestle again, as her husband is now a part of WWE, Brandi Rhodes told the 10 Count podcast, "I'm the one that's very big in the family on not saying absolutes. As we know, my husband likes to say absolutes and then life happens. I'm not going to say absolutes, but I will say right now, it's not in my plan. I kind of did myself a good service in taking a beat. My number one priority when everything happened and we left AEW, my number one priority was making sure my husband's dream was realized. It's been a dream in the making for him since he was 4 years old. It's a good thing that we pressed forward and got to see this through. I was always on the back burner and working on other things. I got shot of Brandi in the ether. I started doing this podcast. I have other things cooking in the non-wrestling world. In that period of time, I got to spend a lot of time with my daughter. I got to watch her develop in these unexpected ways and find these different things that she is thriving at and liking. I want to be a part of that. When I look at life in wrestling, there is the inevitable travel, and it's the choice you have to make that you travel with your child or not. If I were to travel with my child, I'm taking her away from some environments she's used to. I won't say no, it's not going to happen, but I will say right now, it's not front of my mind for me. Touching on his goals as a part of AEW, Bryan Danielson told One Fall that, "My goal? I don't even know if it's a goal. What I feel like my job is in wrestling at this point is service, and that's actually what brings me the most joy. Me being champion or anything like that, if they really wanted me to be champion, if AEW really wanted me to be a champion or whatever it is, I'd do it if they thought it was good for business or whatever it is, but that's not what inspires me or brings me joy. Being able to get in the ring with younger talent and being able to give back, all that kind of stuff, that's the stuff that brings value to my life now, especially as an older wrestler, as somebody who's 41. I don't need the spotlight, nor do I even really want the spotlight. I love that AEW does AEW Dark and AEW Dark Elevation on YouTube, and I love those platforms, and I would love just being on those shows, and then I would love to do that, but I think Tony Khan pays me too much money to do that. He wants me to be on their TV show and all that kind of stuff, but I would be just as happy, if probably not happier, one, because I love to wrestle still. I love being out there in front of the crowd, but being able to wrestle and also helping people achieve their dreams in wrestling as well. So those are the things that really inspire me and light up my brain, and the things that I think about when I'm on the road and that sort of thing that are not family related or thinking about, oh, okay, this would be cool or this would be cool. Oh, when he approached me about wrestling Daniel Garcia, I was like, man, that sounds great. I would love to do that. With many not sure if he will return to AEW following his altercation with Sammy Guevara backstage, Andrade would take to Instagram to seemingly tease his departure as he wrote, "I just want to say thank you, bye." Talking about their previous 2-month suspension from AEW, EVPs of the company, the Young Bucks said on their YouTube show, "We're officially back. We, however, have been technically backstage for a few weeks. Now we've been on screen, we're wrestled, we're back, being the Elite is back. Everything is back to reality. It didn't feel like we were officially back until Full Gear. We were around for 4 weeks, but it didn't feel like it. There was something missing. That something missing was us performing live. We did that, we scratched that itch. We're back. I've had anxiety thinking about it, didn't know if I could still perform at a high level. I was waking up in cold sweats. I haven't been sleeping. People don't understand because we haven't been able to talk about it. This has been 2 of the hardest months of my life. I know for you, Nick, too. Here we are. We got through it. You just never know what's going to happen until you do it. To hear the support and hear and see how happy a lot of people were to see us, that meant the world to us and Kenny. It felt good. We're going through the healing process right now. Last night at Full Gear was a big step to get there. I feel good. We got to come out to a song we grew up listening to with our dad, a song we almost didn't get. We didn't get it until the 11th hour. That was stressful. Getting that, it was the night before. We finally knew. Collectively, it was a crazy time. Now that it's the end, I can almost sigh relief at this point. Talking about the pro wrestling prowess of Shane McMahon, Rene Dupree dragged the son of the former chairman and CEO of WWE, saying on his podcast, he doesn't know how to wrestle. He just knows how to do stunts, and doing all those crazy stunts, it actually hurts the business because you're hot-shotting it, right? So for him diving off the cage, yeah, it gets a pop, but that makes our job even harder to get a reaction. And he wrestles what? Once a year on a pay-per-view, right? I don't think he is even around anymore, right? On Busted Open Radio, Renee Paquette talked about her husband Jon Moxley and watching how brutal his matches can be with her, saying that there are 2 sides to this because I get asked about that a lot, about what it's like being married to Jon and the things that we all see him put his body through, what he puts other people's body through. Yes, certainly there's times where I'm like, oh my god, like I'm preparing the text to send to him from when he walks back to the locker room after the match of just like, please stop licking people's blood, like the stuff on the outside of the apron, some of the things I want to get up his ass about. Touching on his run with the Shield, Seth Rollins said this to Bleacher Report about the group's reunion not coming to fruition. I guess one regret would have been managing some of the reunions a little bit better, and some of that was out of our control, and there was nothing we could do. It's not ideal to have Kurt Angle in a Shield costume, but desperate times call for desperate measures, so we made the best of it, and there's something to be said for putting people in that role and being able to have the equity to do that. During an interview with The Ringer, Roman Reigns mentioned working with many stars in WWE, saying, "That's one of the top responsibilities of being the top guy is we never work down. It's only about bringing people up and making them better. Look at all the characters around me. Look at how strong this character is to be able to be the centerpiece of so many amazing talents. I mean, look at Sammy. He unlocked a different door, which allows us to showcase different layers. He gives us something completely different to play off of, and vice versa for Sammy to be at the cool kid table in the cool clique, being able to showcase that story. That's what makes us next level. Who would have thought Usi would be a thing? But over 12 million people on social media made it a thing, and that's the type of power we have. We can take anything, and make it good. That's why the Bloodline, the tribal chief, is so special, because we've taken more chicken and made chicken salad than anybody in the history of this business." On Vicky Guerrero's podcast, Renee Paquette talked about her time as a backstage interviewer at WWE, revealing how she'd help those stars who forgot their lines. "I love what I get to do, and not that I don't think about it, I do. I think a lot about what I do and trying to do the best of my ability. But I also just get to have fun doing what I do. There is so much stuff of bringing stories forward. My big thing, especially when I'm doing interviews, it's one thing if I'm hosting a kickoff show or a post show, that's more broadcasting. When I'm doing interviews, that's my role to make the wrestler feel as comfortable comfortable as possible. That's something I take into consideration, making someone feel like I have their back, and if someone stumbles on a line or whatever, if I need to give them a follow-up question just in case, if we have time to fill, if I'm trying to keep them on track or steer them in a direction of what we know the story is going to be, sometimes that happens. There would be times where if there was somebody I was going to do a promo with in ring or a live backstage and they have a 2-page promo, I'm like, there is a chance they get off track and forget where they are. I would try to learn their promo as much as I could in case I needed to give a follow-up question to get them back on track for what they needed to get out. It's thinking on the spot, being prepared, and letting them know I can be there as a safety net. Speaking about Jamie Hayter, prior to Full Gear, Britt Baker revealed on Busted Open Radio, "I'm so incredibly proud of Jamie. I mean, I literally handpicked Jamie. I went to Tony Khan and said, hey, we need this girl, because I wrestled her in the UK in a dive bar years ago, and we've been friends ever since. I am Jamie's #1 fan. There's nobody out there that wants Jamie to win this title more than I do because it is her time. This is Jamie Hayter's era right now, and I get to be along for the ride." On the Games with Names podcast, Shawn Michaels recalled his partying days from the 90s with his WWE schedule as he said, "Well, look, we made time for that. The one thing is there was always after the show. Clearly, at this point in my career, I was at least good about waiting until after the show. I would get to a point to where it was any time of day if I felt like it. It was, you mentioned it earlier, it was kind of a rock star lifestyle. It could be a lot of fun, and you could be obviously the life of the party, a pretty popular guy. It's not a bad gig, shall we say." When asked about AEW champion MJF prior to his title win, Matt Cardona said this about the star to Inside the Ropes. "MJF is a hell of a talent. He trained under my partner Brian Myers at Create a Pro on Long Island, so I've known about Max for a long time. I've been watching him grow since he started, and you could tell right away this kid is something. He has the gift of gab. He can go in the ring. He's working on his physique. I will say this, Max, if you're listening, if you need some tanning advice, and you do, you've got to come to me. I don't know what kind of spray he's using, but his hands always look kind of funky with the tanner. Come to me, I'll help you out. I have no desire to go one-on-one with Max. Maybe a team with Max? We're both from Long Island. Maybe we'll team up to take on some jabronis, something like that. But Max is doing great. I just saw he landed a role in a movie on the Von Erichs. Congrats to him. He's doing a great job." Speaking about her crown jewel match against Bayley, Bianca Belair told the Not Sam Wrestling podcast, "A lot of times I feel like I'm on autopilot where I'm just pushing through and trying to get to what's next, and you really have to stop and reflect on what's happening and how big moments are, and that actually happened to me after the match in Saudi Arabia. I got backstage and I broke down, and a lot of people were coming up to me like, 'Oh my god, are you okay?' And I'm like, no, they're happy tears. It's good tears, because everything happens so fast, and you really have to soak in the moments and realize how big the moments are." Talking once again about reuniting the Hurt Business, Bobby Lashley recently told this to WMBD about getting the group back together under Triple H. "I hear it all the time, and it was a very cool time of wrestling, and we're fighting for it. We're fighting for it, trust me. Hopefully, sometime you'll see it back together." Sticking with Bobby Lashley, he said this to NBC 10 Boston about a trilogy bout with Brock Lesnar. "Winning a match wasn't important to me in Saudi Arabia. It was beating him up. He won the 1, 2, 3, but he knows who Bobby is now, and he felt the wrath. Nobody has seen Brock like that before. Nobody has seen Brock groveling down on his back, like looking up, passing out. Nobody has seen Brock like that. I made him like that. So I think it fit for what was needed, and with that being said, there's one more match that we need to have. He has one, and I have one." Touching on the plans for booking Finn Balor in WWE, WrestleVotes told Give Me Sport, Triple H and Finn Balor have always really liked each other. Seeing what Finn has been over the last few years, Hunter sees almost like a reclamation project, but one that he can get behind because of their personal relationship. Hunter's first and real big name was Fergal, so they've always had a relationship and worked well together. Hunter has always believed in him. When Finn got injured after he won the title at SummerSlam 2016, he was checked on him daily, like keeping the relationship tight even though he left NXT. Speaking about the situation surrounding Adam Cole suffering 2 concussions in a month in AEW, Brian Alvarez said on Wrestling Observer Radio, one of the things in his case was he had gotten a concussion, and then he came back and immediately got another concussion. So the feeling was, well, let's give him plenty of time this time so that when he comes back, he doesn't immediately get another concussion. He came back, he was immediately hurt again, and the feeling was he clearly came back too early. So after it happened a second time, it was like he's got to be out until he's like 100%, and it could be a while. Also on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer talked about AEW President Tony Khan recently claiming that CM Punk never asked him to move Colt Cabana to Ring of Honor. The whole Cabana thing, I keep getting stuff from talents in AEW about this. Ever since Saturday, I've gotten a lot, and put it this way, there's a lot of talent that is very convinced of one thing. Obviously CM Punk is, and he's always been, very adamant that he had nothing to do with it. Tony said that Punk had nothing to do with it. This was back in August. So that story is not going to change publicly one way or the other, but I'm just saying that the skepticism, and it's vehement from a lot of people as far as the skepticism of that story. So it's not like that thing has been settled in the eyes of, I can't say all the talent, but a lot of the talent. Even today, I just got something that was like, can't you just see? Isn't it obvious? It's not like they're speculating. They believe that they know the story. That's basically that. I'm sure that one will never go away. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later.